Good morning, warriors. It's me, LC, founder of Hope and Recovery Network, your host for the Rise Up Recovery YouTube channel, and your motivator for this Thank God It's Friday live recovery motivation. And I am just grateful, filled with gratitude to be here, to be alive another day, to get to breathe in and out. Every morning every day we wake up is a day to start again and a day to become better and to grow. And as long as we meet each day with that attitude, we just can't go wrong. No matter what happens in the day, remember that you are a co-creator in your life, in your recovery, in your day. And honestly, your day can go exactly the way you want it to go, regardless of outside circumstances, regardless of the actions of others, and regardless of maybe the hiccups or the trip ups that we get into during the day. We're not going to be perfect. We're never going to get to a place where we're perfect. We're never going to get to a place where we don't meet things that maybe don't make us completely happy, but the fact is that if in everything we do, in every thought we think, in every person we look at, if we try to find the growth and the lesson in all of that, then we've been successful. It becomes a successful situation, regardless of how you wish you would have done it better. Forget wishing. Create a strategy to do better. Just create a strategy to meet it differently. Create a strategy to fortify your weak places. And this morning, I really want to talk about identifying addictive behaviors that are still present in our life after the substance. I've come to believe in my recovery journey that the substance is actually just the big neon light to the fact that we are suffering in our own thought life, in our own spiritual life, that we are coming from a broken spirit. And the fact that we get so out of control and our lives become unmanageable and our lives are uncontrollable because the substance gives us that indication. But the substance is just a byproduct of a much deeper issue, a bunch of much deeper issues. And I think some of our frustration comes in recovery when we completely focus all of our attention on remaining abstinent from the substance, but we don't take the time to change the mindsets that take us there, or the mindsets, honestly, that we follow into these places and where we get into our relapses and our issues and everything. And so it's it's absolutely vital that we begin to look over into our lives and find out where are some of the addictive behaviors. What are we reacting versus thinking things through, taking the time? Are we still reacting in our emotional life? Are we still pursuing our relationships with the same addictive natures and the same codependent natures and practices that we've done always? When we step into substance, it's because we've gotten ourselves into a place where we're so unhappy and so spiritually broken that we want to experience an escape. And it's because we had not developed the skills, for whatever reasons in life, had not developed the skills to properly process those emotions or properly have a thought life that kept us happy. Not everyone had to get completely annihilated in order to party and have fun with their friends, but a lot of us did. For me, it became to where every weekend I kept saying to myself, well, I'm so painfully shy that the only time I can really feel comfortable or hang out and have fun is to drink, in my younger days with my friends. But what I wasn't paying attention to is not so much that I was so painfully shy as I was uncomfortable in my own skin and could not understand why at the time. I knew that from as far back as I can remember, I knew that there was something different about me. I knew that what I was looking at in the mirror was not matching up with the spirit I felt on the inside. I became someone who hated my experience and my body so much that I ended up being a self-mutilator, like I was a cutter. I couldn't deal with my emotions. I had not learned how to properly move through those things. I had not learned how to process and properly deal with the abuse that I had suffered, the neglect that I had felt because of the lack of protection. I did not understand what all of a dynamic was happening on the inside of me. And so I became so painfully shy because I didn't want to be seen. But I knew there was so much on the inside of me. I could just feel this big thing on the inside of me that was fun and that was funny and that was a great friend. But I didn't know how to get there on my own. So I reached for substance. And in the end, what would happen every weekend is I would quickly go from fun Lona to hugging the toilet, drunk Lona. So, just so out of control. It became to where my addiction was just flourishing, and it just became where by the time, the evening was over, I was no longer the life of the party. I was actually the downer of the party because now my friends were having to take care of me. And I can tell you, listen, a lot of bad things. I put myself in a lot of bad situations and a lot of negative things happened to me. And, that again, that just I don't even know, honestly, right now how to say it, but it just grows your victim. It grew my victim mentality. It grew that thing inside of me that said, see, I knew I wasn't worth it. See, I know all I was put here for was to be abused. And it's almost like the spirit attaches itself to you. It's like abuse comes. And for me, I couldn't figure out why it just continued to come. It was just always, it was like just what I said. It was like some kind of spirit attached itself to me. And it was like, so for every predator, I was they just were drawn to me. In fact, I know for a fact now that I'm able to look back and really study it and have grown in wisdom that one of the men that married my mom that was so abusive to me was a predator. And he wasn't even attracted to her whatsoever. He saw the victim in me, the possible victim in me. But the fact that even before the abuse happened, I already knew that I was just born straight into the wrong body. My mind, my heart, and my body didn't match. And it was a very confusing situation for a young child. And so what I want to say through saying all of that, sorry for the downer, because I don't want it to be a downer this morning. What I want it to be is that if you will go back, and I don't mean go over this stuff, because I'm going to tell you something. This stuff does not make me sad today. Let me tell you that. It does not make me sad today. In fact, I can stand on it and say, I'm so glad that it happened. Now, that sounds crazy. People are looking at me going, what? What do you mean? You've had so much trauma. Yeah, man, because this has brought me to the place that I am today. And without knowing true suffering, I could not recognize true happiness. And what I mean by true happiness is it's not substance oriented. It is not outside it's not outside circumstance oriented. I have come to discover that I'm okay. That I am not weird. I'm not strange on the inside. I'm uniquely me. And it's okay to be uniquely me. I don't care what the world says about where I should be, who I should be with, who I should love, because of what my body, looks like, how I should act. That is just bull crap. I was born uniquely me. And I want to tell you this about you, okay? You have some of the same afflictions because somewhere divinely you were chosen because you were strong enough and valuable enough to one day do something with them. Okay? Revel in that. We want to keep looking at the struggle. We want to keep asking, why me? And I want to tell you that the why me is because you were special enough to carry this and carry this light and message into the world. Now, you might not have come around to your place of where you can say, I'm glad it happened. It had to happen. But you will get there if you continue to strive towards it. And that's really what recovery is honestly all about, is growing into you, finding those beautiful lighted places inside of you that will shine a special, unique light to the world. Every scar I have on the inside and on the outside, I show my self-destructive scars proudly, because that's how far I've come. That's how far. And the way that it all started was from a simple place of, I felt like I was going to explode on the inside. I had no way to know how to express the emotions and hurt I was feeling. And so I had to feel physical pain to drown out my internal pain. But that message today speaks to other young people that are going through that exact same thing, that they don't know what to do with all that. And if we can arrest it now, then maybe if we can start to show people that your pain and suffering is not a personal attack on you, that it is actually something that will be purposed for a divine reason someday, and that if you will learn how to work through it now, that there will come a time when you will bless somebody else's life with what you've been through. Not everybody gets to do this. And you look, and I used to look at these people and be envious of them and say, well, why did they get all the good breaks? Why did nothing ever happens to them? Well, number one, I don't know what's happening to them. You understand? We look at other people and we have no idea what's going on in their lives. Because let me tell you, there's nobody on earth that's going to escape some type of suffering. It just may look different than yours and mine. But it can all be used for a mighty purpose if you set the intention for it too. If we will work through this stuff, not visit it in a way that we're carrying baggage throughout our life. Look, I know you've all probably heard of the experiment. I don't remember what college it was, but a professor one time had this bottle of water, and she just held up this bottle of water, and she asked the entire class, how much do you guys think this bottle of water weighs? So everybody came in, they chimed in with their guesses, 6 ounces, a pound, whatever. And she said, how long do you think I can hold this up? What do you think will happen if I hold this bottle out in my arm, in my hand, like this can? This can's half empty. It's not very heavy. So but if I hold it up like this for a huge amount of time, eventually I'm going to get tired. My arm is going to cramp. Eventually it's just going to fall. And that's what happens when we carry the baggage throughout our life. It affects our posture. I believe that what happens when we step over into substance abuse is that we are so full of pain and from shoving it down that we have no more room, and we can't just wipe out. We can't ignore any more pain because we've pressed everything down so much that we've run out of room in our heart. And therefore, we're like raw nerves walking around all the time. And so with that being raw nerves, we reach for substance because we have no idea how to band-aid the pain. And so just to experience a little bit of happiness, we use. And that's where it starts. But imagine now, if we move into this new revolution of recovery and we start talking to people about all the stuff that we used to hide. Because I would never, ever, I was so ashamed to tell people that I had been sexually, physically, and mentally abused. I was so ashamed to tell people that I'm transgendered. I was so ashamed to accept the fact that I was born different. I was so ashamed of all that I never would let that stuff out. But it was coming out in other ways. It was coming out in substance abuse. It was coming out in self-mutilation. It was coming out in abusive relationships. It was coming out in all those ways. So no matter how hard I tried to hide it, no matter how much I tried to press it down, it was seeping out anyway. And so who would have believed, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that I would be openly sharing this with as many people as want to watch it? I would have told you that is ridiculous. But now, today, I can't think of doing anything else with it because it must be shared, because it just might touch someone else who thinks that they do not have an outlet for their pain either, or that makes them feel like they're all alone in their suffering. I want you to understand, you're not alone. You are not alone, and there's nothing wrong with you. Absolutely nothing wrong with you. You're wonderfully and perfectly made exactly the way you are. And if you will move in to your life and begin to be okay with you right where you are. I don't care if you are in the midst of active addiction. I don't care if you've just fallen into your relapse last night. I don't care, because it doesn't matter. You can still get up and move on from where you are. All it takes is for you to stand up right where you are, brush yourself off, and say, I'm not the only one. I'm not all alone. I can do this. I can do whatever it takes to get myself, not to live up to the standards of others, but to find the true, unique you, the beautiful, happy, amazing you that is there on the inside like a caged lion waiting to get out. Because that's what's happened, waiting to get out. I want to tell you guys, the last year and a half of my life, as I begin to come into my own self, my true being, let me tell you, I've never been happier in all of my life. Now, I've got circumstances that are still going on around me. I have family issues. I have all of that stuff, but the more firm my foundation becomes, let me tell you, the more I feel like I can jump off from anywhere and everywhere. There's no stopping. I'm unstoppable. I'm limitless. I've learned this through the power of fixing my mind, of renewing my mind, of learning that happiness is right on the inside of me. It's not outside anywhere. It's not in another person. It's not in a substance. It's not in a medication. It is not in a book. It's not in anything. It lives on the inside of me. It's just about reaching out for new resources to try to retrain your brain. When we are constantly looking at everything that's wrong with us, especially when we're comparing our lives with the lives of others. And I'm going to say that is the most dangerous part of social media. I can't say this enough. We are looking at other people's highlight reels. We're looking at the photos they've chosen to show, not the ones that might have caught them in their true nature. Okay? I don't share every photo I take. In some of them, I look crazy. But, so we've got to be aware, fully aware, that what we're looking at in other people is what they're choosing to show us. And we cannot compare ourselves, excuse me, we cannot compare ourselves to what they are choosing to show the world. This isn't anybody else's journey. This is your journey, my journey. We only get this one on this earth. I don't know what happens after this, but I'm going to tell you, we only get this one here. And it is not worth it to give your peace and happiness over to the opinion of others. It really doesn't matter. Many people look at me and go, how can you talk about God? How can you be a Christian? You know, God doesn't even accept you. Do you know how long I bought that lie? Do you know how long I bought the lie from Christians, good Christians that told me I was unworthy of God's love unless I tried to change who I was on the inside, who I was? They told me I had to choose one or the other. Let me tell you, that is not a message from God, ladies and gentlemen. That is a message from people. That is a message from judgment. That's not from God. God says, you're wonderfully and perfectly made. You know, listen. Find what works for you. Find what makes and helps you be happy, truly happy on the inside of you. Your circumstances will line up when you get in a mindset that is so focused on. Listen, there's a destiny awaiting you. You have a plan and purpose for your life. You are breathing in and out every day. So get fired up to come into that. Get fired up to come into the realization of that. That's when your life gets set up to where you want it to go. You feel me? When you get aligned with who you really are. It's not when you find your passion will find you when you get aligned with it. Okay? When you get aligned with yourself. When you develop a spiritual routine and regimen, when you develop a relationship with your higher power, your passion will run you down. Your life will line up exactly the way you want it. Learn to start self-talking. Learn to start talking about your life in the way that you want to see it. Stop calling out what you think is. Because remember, this is just an illusion. We attract what we constantly think about. So if you're constantly thinking about everything that's wrong in your life, you're attracting more of it. And that is the bottom line. I understand when we're young, we're not calling abuse to us. But as we move on in life and all we think about is the past and the abuse that happened in the past, and we're asking why me, then the universe hears you say you want more of that. If we stay constantly in anger, if we stay constantly in looking at other people and trying to control what they're doing because we want them to make us happy, because is it really about them, or is it about them making us happy or making our lives easier? Listen, it is your vibration, Tim Caps. It is your vibration that calls things to you. So get up and start a new world. Get up and start a new life. Everything's okay with me today. Everything works out for me. Everything works out for me. Everything works out exactly the way I need for it to be. Exactly the way I want it to go. I am aware. I am alive. I am enthusiastic. I am valuable. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I am perfect. I am perfectly made. I am successful. I mean, all of these things you say to yourself, I love me for exactly who I am. I am growing constantly. My recovery is strong. I don't crave substance because I have found that true happiness on the inside of me. You feel me? I hope that you do, because I do this every day in my life. And if you go back and look at the videos from 2 years ago when I first started this thing, I believe you'll see my growth. That's what all of this was about. When I started my transition 1.5 years ago, I didn't jump. I wanted to tell the world, but I felt inclined to not put a label on. I just felt inclined not to throw a label up, because then that would make many people go, "Oh, I can't watch that. That doesn't even, that's, I have nothing in common with that person. They're transgendered." Because that's where we are in life. We judge on the outside, but you guys have gotten to grow with me. You've gotten to know me as a person. You've seen me grow as a person. So now, as you hear me say this out, and a lot of you that's been following me already knew this, but you know, a lot of you, I may even lose some of you. Some of you may not even be able to get over this, but a lot of you, from this moment on, your perspective about life and other people will change, because you will see people as individuals, as beautiful souls, uniquely made. And that is the same for you. It's called your root cause of addiction. And each one of us have our own. I've been preaching about that since the day I stepped on these pages. It is you, if you don't go to unpack the suitcase of your soul, deal with the very root cause of your addiction, there will always be an underlying thing that is just waiting there to snatch the rug out from under you. But if you go to it, you stare it in the face, and you throw fear back at it, and you step into your life, baby, you are in control, and there is nothing that can stop you. And there is no craving big enough to rob you of that. And so I guess I want to leave you with that right there, because I think I've said enough today. But you guys have got my true passion. Everything that I get on here and share with you, I lay it all out on the line, man, because if I don't, then the enemy wins. Then the things that have happened in my life and the abuse I have taken, all of the stuff, the abuse I put myself through, other people through, all of the stuff, my addiction, everything wins if I don't share it all out to you all. And if you then don't take what you experience and share it out again. We never know who we're going to touch. I believe the next rock star of recovery, the next motivational speaker, the next millionaire, the next biggest thing lies right here in one of you listening. And if it's not you, it'll be one of the people that you talk to today. So know that we can't choke each other out. That's why I hate the competition and stuff between groups, because that's what the enemy comes to do. He comes in to distract and divide. And if you don't know the enemy, I beg you to get to know. Because then that way, if you study your opposition, you can create badass strategies to throw everything he throws at you back in his face. We are fighting an enemy. Trust me, our warfare is not with flesh and blood. It is spiritual warfare, because the power is in our mind. You see, if we were fighting an outside force, then everything would be outside of us. But it's not. We're fighting spiritual battles constantly. That's what recovery is, guys. It is a spiritual battle. And if you don't have a battle plan, I urge you to create one. If you don't have a gratitude list, I urge and beg you to create one, because that, for me, is where all of this began. All of this began. When I started into my final leg of recovery 6 years ago, I refused to just be an angry addict without my drugs. I just refused. So I said, I'm going to do what it takes to try to figure out how to be truly happy so that I never have to go back here again. Never have to go back to active addiction again. And I know that I won't, guys, because I can't even explain to you what a natural high I stay on because I put myself there. You're in control of your vibration as soon as you wake up in the morning. It's why I've urged you to develop a morning routine. If you will arrest your day in the first 20 minutes of being awake, you will take control of your day. All right, now I have really said enough, because I could sit here and talk to you guys like all day about all of this. I mean, 22 years I spent in the grips of this prison, locked inside of myself. So I know what it's like to run to the mirror every day like a child and just say, hey there, good looking, I love you. I didn't know what this meant a few years ago. I didn't know what it was like to look at myself in the mirror and just say how much I love myself. So I urge you to start doing it. And it started with a practice. I didn't believe it when I first started saying it. And you might not either. But eventually you will. All right, guys, listen. If you're feeling weak today, you better reach out. You must tell on those feelings that want to take everything you love about yourself, and ultimately your life. And it is our duty. It is our pleasure. It is my great, I am just blessed to be able to live my life in honor of all of those who have lost their lives to this disease. Remember, their stories, their lives, and their legacies live on through us. Their stories impact and change as many lives as our recovery stories do. So let's make sure today, when we're tempted to fall into the depths of despair, that we think about someone closest to us that has passed away from this disease. Think about what they would do with your life today. Don't stay in it. Doesn't mean you're not ever going to get in despair. Just don't stay there. Don't stay there. Jump up and get out. Change your vibration. I love you guys with all that I am, with all of my heart. I thank you for being on with me this morning. You guys are the most amazing, just triumphant people I have ever gotten the pleasure to know and come across in my life. I love this new age of technology. It gives us opportunity to build an amazing tribe of beautiful people. It allows us to be able to change our people, places, and things and never leave our living room. So I love you guys so much. Have an amazing weekend. I'll be with you on Self-Care Sunday. Listen, I tried to upload a video this weekend and it just didn't happen. I'm still working on it, guys. It's a lot for me to work on, but I know you're patient and you're with me. I love you guys so much. Have a great day, great weekend, and I'll see you soon.